Today, I'm visiting the historic Norwegian vessel Vega, a 134-year-old ship. What's crazy is that this ship was built in 1892, which means it's over 130 years old and still actively sailing today. What's it doing in Southeast Asia, you ask? Well, today, the Vega has a deeper humanitarian mission and serves communities all over Southeast Asia. I'll tell you more about that later. The Vega is now home to a lovely couple who sail around the world with it, and we'll get to speak with them later. I was honestly a bit afraid of going on board because I was seasick as a child. So stick around to see how I fare. If you want to see more videos where I visit unusual and interesting places, please subscribe to my channel. Today, the journey began at the starting point of the Maritime Museum, and if you want to see a tour of that museum, I have done a full tour of that on my channel. We gathered and the volunteers guided us down the pier and onto the ship. This here is actually an immigration checkpoint for the pier, and we were given special privilege of walking through without our passports just for this special visit to Vega. As I mentioned, as a kid, I had a terrible seasickness experience on a ferry on the way to Bintan or Batam, and since then, I haven't really enjoyed the idea of being on a ship, especially a small one. So I was apprehensive about going on it, especially since the waters were not very calm. As you can see, it was slightly overcast weather with rain incoming on the way. This was part of the wider Heritage Festival in Singapore that's going on for an entire month. And I have an upcoming video where I basically spend 8 hours at a heritage center. So subscribe if you want to see that. As we walked towards the end of the pier, the sight of wooden Vega amongst the landscape of metal modern ships in the background was a sight to behold. The Vega was originally built in Norway by a shipbuilder named Ola, who was apparently famous for building these really strong cargo vessels called Hardinger yachts. I'm probably saying that wrong, but we'll do that. They were designed to survive rough northern seas, trade routes through the Baltic, and even Arctic conditions. And when you look at the ship up close, you can kind of feel that history. Everything is wood, heavy timber, and old craftsmanship. One thing I found really interesting is that Vega wasn't built as some luxurious sailing ship. It was basically a working cargo boat. It carried limestone, cement, bricks, pig iron, some really heavy materials through pretty brutal waters. Apparently, it became known for being unusually strong for its size. Some sources even say it was certified for Arctic trade, so I find it amusing that it's now in tropical waters. And somehow, after all these years, it survived. Because honestly, most wooden ships from the 1800s are gone, but Vega is still here. What makes Vega special isn't just that it survived, but what the ship is doing now. Today, Vega sails through remote islands in eastern Indonesia and East Timor, delivering medical supplies, educational equipment, and aid to communities that are incredibly isolated. And what I find fascinating is that this isn't some huge NGO operation. It's basically just run by one couple, Shane and Maggie, who have dedicated decades of their lives to this mission. You can see how homey and cozy they have made this ship. These are the 2 bedrooms that volunteers stay in when the ship is sailing. When you read about them, Shane is honestly one of those people that sounds almost fictional. He's a sailor, pilot, bush pilot, museum ship's restorer, and once single-handedly crossed the Atlantic on a damaged ship. He even writes and has his books up on his website. And Maggie is pretty amazing too. She worked with organizations like the WHO, UNICEF, and the BBC World Service on humanitarian and behavioral change campaigns across Asia and the Middle East. Together, they delivered tons of aid over the years. I was lucky to be able to speak to Maggie to answer some of my questions.
Hello, 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 hello.
And maybe what's your name?
Yeah, sorry. No, I'm Maggie. I'm on Vega. And Vega is a 134-year-old wooden sailing boat, currently on visits in Singapore.
And how many years have you spent on this ship?
Oh, I'm on the boat since 2001.
Wow.
Yes.
And you also live here, right?
Yeah, we live full time on a boat.
How many people is the maximum that this boat can have to live on?
Look, it is not about that we are carrying people. Actually, our main focus is charity work, supporting islands. It's to run the boats, to manage the boats, sailing, night watches. We are maximum 4 people on board. We don't take more people because it would be just in the way.
And is there anything else you want to say to anyone watching this video?
No, just thank you for watching and enjoy it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you can always visit our website. Oh,
Yes.
Our website is Vega 1892.
I'll put a link.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
all right.
that's all.
And you can find out more about your charity.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories there.
Okay.
There are a lot of pictures. So yeah, enjoy.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
If you want to learn more about Vega or support what they're doing, I've linked their website in the description below, like Maggie mentioned earlier. As coffee lovers, Maggie showed us this amazing vintage hand-powered coffee grinder on board, which honestly felt perfect for the atmosphere of the ship. That's something I really loved about Vega in general. They restored it in a way that still feels authentic to its wooden craftsmanship, but at the same time, it's warm, cozy, and genuinely inviting, rather than feeling like some untouchable museum piece. The whole time we were on board, the boat was rocking quite a bit, and honestly, I thought I was going to get seasick. But surprisingly, I felt completely fine the entire time. So all that apprehension beforehand turned out to be for nothing. And now, I'm kind of questioning whether I'm more of a boat person than I thought I was. So who knows? Maybe this won't be the last boat you see me on. One thing that also surprised me was how much original character Vega still has after more than 130 years. The ship is around 35 meters long and was built almost entirely from pine and oak, using traditional Norwegian shipbuilding techniques. It still has an original mast. Over the years, Vega and its crew of Maggie and Shane have sailed more than 100,000 nautical miles through these remote waters, delivering medical equipment, pharmaceuticals, and solar-powered lighting for villages without electricity and educational supplies. And despite being built in the 19th century, Vega has now sailed across huge parts of the world, from the Arctic Circle to Southeast Asia, which is honestly wild to think about. That's what stayed with me the most after visiting. Vega doesn't just feel like an old ship, it feels like a ship that has lived multiple lives. It feels almost symbolic now. Built in 1892 to carry cargo across dangerous northern seas, and still, more than a century later, it's carrying cargo. Except now it's carrying hope, medicine, education, and opportunity. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful. Thanks to the Vega team and all the volunteers who made this visit possible. And if you'd like to see more videos where I explore unique places, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you soon, and thanks for watching. Bye!